So this is kind of like when I was finishing one of my last nutrition degrees, I was asked to be the dance teacher for a private high school in North Carolina. And when I had my study hall kids, they were like, "Miss Shakely, you do math too?" Like they just couldn't believe that the dance teacher would actually know some math. So yes, I am the membership director here. And then I do have the background in nutrition and coaching. And Greg and I did just discuss, we were both certified through a great organization called Well Coaches. So happy to be here tonight. And before I get into things, let's cover the most important, and that is everybody have refreshments, water. Yes, you are part of a very unique crowd because we are launching our new Welcome MD signature drink this evening. And if you didn't get one, they're on the back table. If you would like one, please feel free to help yourselves to a first or a second. It's pineapple fizz, but if you have a different, more unique name, we would absolutely welcome that too. Siobhan is our bartender, and it includes Fresca, which is a 0-calorie grapefruit soda. That doesn't really taste a lot like grapefruit, I guess, but anyway, 0-calorie. Pineapple juice. If you're wondering about the pineapple, you see these pineapples all over here, and it is the symbol for hospitality. In addition to that, pineapple's healthy because it contains the enzyme bromelain. So that's an anti-inflammatory, may help support digestion. So there was a little method to the madness. Little calorie control. We did mix the alcohol, but if you brought a flask with vodka, I'm not looking. So enjoy and help yourselves. Okay, so Greg is the coach you know, and he has, if you know him, you already know he has more tips in his back pocket than a packed suitcase on vacation. So speaking of pack, the other thing I do not want to forget to mention is, and this is just a testament to how well Greg does his job. His schedule is packed right now. So if you want in, if you're a member, you do have the sessions with your membership. If you're not a member, we do have a separate wellness package, but definitely get on Greg's schedule. I say most people in the summer are off doing the boating and not thinking about health goals so much, but again, Greg is exceptional. He has people thinking about health goals all year long. So grab your appointment. And I want to talk first about our overview. So we're going to cover why we need to eat healthy, how to eat healthy while eating at restaurants, how to eat healthy while on vacation, healthy options when you're on the go, and at the end we're reserving some time for Q&A. We're not going to lock you down. If you want to leave at the end of the presentation, that's absolutely fine, but we welcome you to stay, and I'll stay and answer as many questions as you like. So I'll start with my why, and that is what got me into this industry. When I was 19, I wanted, in the worst way, my guidance counselor was talking about going to the Navy, and I said, no, I want to be a Division I college cheerleader. And at 5'6½", there are not many Division I colleges that take someone who is 5'6½". So I didn't make the squad my first year. I did make it my second year. It was hard. And I went to the University of Pittsburgh. So the coach, right after tryouts, pulled me and two other girls aside, and she said, you need to shrink your thighs. Now I'm 5'6½", the time I was 132 pounds. And in my infinite 19-year-old wisdom, I carved out a 1,000-calorie a day diet with rice and foods that I knew would fill up my stomach. And I was so hungry and so tired at the end of those 2 months. And she came up to me and she said, oh, you look beautiful. And all I could think of is, I've never felt more exhausted in my life, and there has to be a better way. So at that point, I was lucky that that happened to me at that age, and I really made that connection between nutrition and performance. So even though I got my undergrad in communications, I did go on to get a couple nutrition degrees. So that's absolutely my why. And I'm just really honored to help people with something that we all do every day. We all eat. So that's pretty important, and to help people get a handle on that and to feel better is something that I'm really grateful to do. Okay, why should we eat healthy? It is not just a winter sport, it's crucial all year long. So if you want your optimal health, it really is it's 24/7, 365. That does include balance. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. That's very much part of my philosophy. And this is particularly, I shouldn't say this is particularly a hard time of year. Every day is really a hard time of year. If you listen to the radio, you know that every day it's a National Margarita Day, or it's a National French Fry Day, or I promise you, I feel like National Donut Day comes up 3 times a year at least. Anybody else? Yeah. So, something to navigate for sure. And we can all really, I want you to be thinking about tonight what your specific why is. Is anybody willing to share what your specific why is? What drives you? You don't have to give me a paragraph, even a couple words, I'll take it.
Just to feel better.
Just to feel better. That's valid. Seems like a reasonable request, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anybody else?
To
Fit in my clothes. Yes. Feels so much better when you can just slide the pants on and zip them up, doesn't it? Absolutely. One more.
For my health.
For your health. Sure. Very, very powerful reasons. So no matter what your overall health goals are, something we all have in common, I've mentioned it, we all eat, and food is the one thing that we can't swear off. We can swear off alcohol, we can swear off cigarettes, we can swear off tobacco, but we can't swear off food. So we have to find some way to make peace with that. Something else that I really want you to think about as you're out in the world and as you're listening tonight, there's healthy and then there's healthy for me. Great example. I do just fine with gluten and dairy. Some of you do not. I have a hard time when I go out to eat and have a salad. My lips get really itchy. I know there's some kind of preservative or something in there that doesn't sit well with me. So we all have our different sensitivities. So as you're taking in this information, just keep that in mind too. What's healthy for somebody else isn't necessarily healthy for you, and vice versa. So that is the great challenge and the great benefit with nutrition too. It really is so individual. In spite of our differences, I would also say though that we're all to some extent going for the healthy goals. One time a physician said to me, Jody, if you're not trying to manage diabetes, you're trying to prevent it. And a lot of those behaviors are one and the same. So keep that in mind as well as we're managing things. And then before I move on, I'll add too that knowing your why really gives the oomph to your goals and your decisions and your choices along the way. There are many things I would say, whether your why is about physique or performance or health or feeling better, there's wishes, there's nice to haves, and then there's the absolute musts. You know what I mean? I must have this goal. I must be able to avoid a certain medication or be able to decrease that. So those big drivers are going to be what's so important. All right, so let's get into it. Eating healthy while eating out. I have about a handful of tips for each of these. Again, very informal. If you have a quick question, just raise your hand. If not, go ahead and save that for the end. Number one, there's obvious choices and not so obvious hidden calories. I think that most of us would agree that if we're going out to eat and we're thinking about ordering baked, steamed, grilled, those tend to be pretty safe choices, broiled for the most part. So those are usually the easy finds. Most of us know how to order those. The tip really is, and the pro tip involves the added fat when you're going out to eat. So one of the tips that one of my restaurant friends gave me early on, has anybody ever heard the term no grill prep? No grill prep. I heard this about 20 years ago and the server said, yes, just ask for no grill prep. If you've stayed at a resort or gone to a hotel where they make the omelets for you in front of you, what do you see them squirt in that pan? Right?
The oil.
Yeah. So it kind of negates the fact that you're saying, oh, I'd like an egg white omelet. Well, that's great, but then here's 2 tablespoons of canola oil to go along with it, right? So it is the hidden fats at the restaurants that I believe are one of the major contributors, because most of the foods that we're ordering out are definitely going to be more calories than what we would prepare on our own. So no grill prep means that you're going to ask them to not baste the grill with a lot of extra oil or added fat. You can ask for cooking spray. If they have olive oil cooking spray, all the better. But you can ask them as well not to baste the protein, baste the meat. You can get a nice lean steak if that's on your menu, but keep in mind most restaurants are basting the top of that. So that's where a lot of your extra calories are going to come from. And many of you are probably, can put your hands up, who asks for dressing on the side? Yep. Think of your most caloric dense foods. Those are going to be the ones that you even want to ask for on the side, including cheese and nuts. Those are the other two. Number 2, and I say this a little tongue in cheek, the server does not care about your goals. Restaurants, yeah, they don't care, right? Their goal, the restaurant's goal, is to keep you coming back. And they're gonna do that a few different ways. They're gonna do that with added oil, we just talked about. They're gonna do it with added sodium. They're gonna do it with added sugar, butter, flavoring. They want you to love the food because they want you to return. And that's all right. We all have a goal, and I'm confident there's a happy medium. So whether they're doing that with savory or sweet flavors, and portions is the other one. Restaurants can increase those portions exponentially for just a few cents more. And I'm sure maybe you know if you think about a college where an order of French fries like this is $4, but if you spend another $2, you literally get the whole tray. We probably all have an example of that, right? That's but one example. Even the fast food restaurants. It's not much more for you to supersize or mega size or whatever the next grand size is. Okay, number 3, get a gauge. I don't believe that we absolutely have to swear off restaurants. That's not what it's all about. It's not about staying at home and kind of holing up and saying, okay, I'm just gonna eat my oatmeal at home and my egg whites and that's that, I can't venture out. You absolutely can. But when you have health goals, it is not a bad idea to go to the restaurant websites and check the nutrition information. I promise you, it is a huge eye opener. Who has done that?
I have.
Yep, good, for sure.
Of course,
And-
health coach has.
yeah, for sure. And so when I have health coaching clients, I had one a few weeks ago, and she said, oh, I made do. I went to Chick-fil-A, I got the grilled nuggets, I had a side salad, I used just half the sauce. And she said, I think it fits. And I said, well, look up the numbers. Might as well find out, right? So it's really, we can fit in a lot of things and make food fit into your life rather than your life having to revolve around food. But know what those numbers are, especially for the things that you're ordering the most frequently. Now again, I know I just said server doesn't care about your goals, but it will give you a fairly close guesstimate, particularly for things that have a number of like 6 or 8 grilled nuggets, right? You'll at least have an idea. Okay. Especially true for restaurants at which you eat out often. I think many of us can maybe name the top 3 or 5. Yeah? Okay, good. And then I encourage you to really be your own designated driver when it comes to these things. Identify some staple meals. If you're, considering all the restaurants across the land, think about the staple restaurants where you can go and you can really nail down and laser in on a few choices that are a sure bet. My husband's back there, and he raise your hand. Hi there, yeah. I call him Sweet Kevin, but he really is. He's a good guy, but he will tell you, if we go to the Mexican restaurant, all bets are kind of off. That's really the meal where we're just going to have for flavor, right? Yeah. Other restaurants, he knows, I know, and he'll ask me kindly, where would you like to go? Which is always welcome. But if you can have those few choices, those 2 or 3 choices at the restaurants you frequent the most, always helpful. I will tell you, and I'm not throwing any restaurant under the bus, but Panera is one of the biggest surprises. Has anybody specifically looked at Panera? Yeah, some of those medium service restaurants. And it's wild because some of those items will truly surprise you. Some of the things, and even just your medium service restaurants, right? Like the Chili's or the Applebee's or the O'Charlie's, those kinds of franchise restaurants. Some of their salads carry more calories and fat grams and sodium than a burger and fries. So it really can be kind of wild once you start going to, I would go to the restaurant websites and look at their nutrition information. Again, you don't have to create a whole college course on it, but just your top 2 or 3. Make it simple. Know what you're up to when you go. And then it can also be tricky. We're social people, right? So we go out with groups. If it's within your control and you can, or maybe even with your families, it's kind of hard sometimes if you have kids and the kids are kind of choosing the restaurants, but you can kind of guide and help them choose too, like provide them with a multiple choice question. Would you like restaurant A, restaurant B, or restaurant C? And all of those are the restaurants that you know you can order something healthy and you're not gonna lose your mind, right? That's one way to do it. You can do that with social groups too. I'd be willing to bet that you're not the only one with some health goals. I'd be willing to bet. Okay, I'll pause there. Questions so far? No? Okay. Number 4, my no-fail ordering equation. I've mentioned that the fats tend to be the most troublesome. I do have an example. Again, there's a way to eat everything, but I did bring some, anybody like kava? Do you? Yeah? All right, so what I ordered today, it's kind of neat because you go in there and you'll see the board with some pre-made choices. And I have to be careful at how much I'm gonna deconstruct this because I'm pretty sure it's gonna run the risk of something falling out. They have some choices that are listed at the top of the menu. 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 things. I don't know. I looked at the wraps and the bowls, and I settled on the chicken wrap. I have the exact information on my phone. But my first tell, if I pick up that bag, and this feels like something I should be in the gym, like doing a biceps curl with, I already know I should probably think twice about this choice, right? And it totally does feel like that. But it's the chicken wrap. And what I found particularly powerful about this, you really wanted this for dinner, right, Kevin? Yeah. So it is a chicken wrap, but the first thing that you'll see, that's a really thick pita. If you and I go to the grocery store and we buy like the Mission multi-grain tortilla, it's like half to a third of the thickness. So we've already overshot the mark on carbs there. But I'm, in the interest of not making a mess on Welcome MD's rug, I'm gonna read to you the most powerful thing about that particular menu item, which I have on my phone. Okay, so that's the Greek chicken. Guess how many calories? You kind of got a glimpse of it. Anybody want to guess how many calories?
1,000.
1,200.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah, 895. 895. Interestingly, the one right next to it, the steak and feta, actually was 800 calories.
Oh,
And that's one of those examples that you would think the steak sounds heavier, right? Okay, but this Greek chicken, grilled chicken, hummus, tzatziki, salt brine pickles, tomato and onion, Kalamata olives, feta, romaine, Greek vinaigrette, and your pita. It's a lot going on, right? Again, I'd already be willing to bet that that's more ingredients than you would put in at home. And the server asked me, and I can't believe, I've never said yes to this question, but the question she asked me is, would you like it as written on the board? And it took me everything in me, and I said, yes, I would, please. Because I don't typically order like that. Now, why is it 895 calories? 5 fats in this entire sandwich, right? We have the hummus, tzatziki. She threw scoops on there, and then she spread that out, and I was like, okay, we're in business. And then she put in some Kalamata olives, that's your third fat, feta, and the Greek vinaigrette. She was not shy. Girlfriend squirted that stuff on the pita, and it's pretty hefty. You can come lift it afterwards if you like. But that is one. I mean, we think Mediterranean and we think healthy, and yes, there's olive oil in there and then some. So that's one item where I would say, even though they're reasonable sounding choices, they truly do add up quickly. Salad. You're getting a salad with salmon and feta and nuts and strawberries and dressing. Again, sounds very healthy, but you have no less than 4 fats in there. So that's going to be a pretty hefty salad. So a new view, instead of looking at your menu items, I encourage you to look at the ingredients. Now, Kevin rides a motorcycle, and one year we took a trip to Pennsylvania. I was preparing for a bodybuilding show, so I had to cart all my food with me, and I said, I'll drive, you ride. We got caught in the rain, so we ended up at this British pub at Grove City. British pub, and the menu was like, I felt like I needed another college course. Like, it just went on and on and on. But I looked at that menu for ingredients, and what I settled on, and this is the formula I'd encourage you to think about too, is I looked for a protein, I looked for a carb, in this case it was a fruit, I looked for a fat, and I looked for vegetable. So I ended up with a salad with shrimp and pineapple and avocado, and I did like a tablespoon of dressing on the side. So I had my greens, my protein, my carb, and my fat, and that was it. You're only gonna do but so much damage with something like that, right? But I was able to kind of pick and choose from the menu. So if you see that there's a particular entree in a particular meal, but then you see this baked potato over here with another, they can do that for you. You're all nice people. I met you all on the way in. You just ask nicely, they'll do it for you. You're not gonna be the first person that's asked that way, and you won't be the last person that's asked that way either. So
No fish and chips?
no, well, that would be 2 ingredients. So we call that balance. We call that balance for sure. So that is my super simple solve. If you're going for low carb, just double up on the vegetable. If you take away one item tonight on how to build your plate, that would be the one I would take home for sure. All right, so within that equation, you're gonna wanna identify at least one high volume, low density option, meaning that our brains, we're actually eating with multiple senses. Our sight, our smell, think about the fajitas coming by, right? The way the food looks. So visually, most of us like a fair amount of food, right? To make it look like a meal. So make sure that fits the bill when you're choosing a lower calorie item, because you get more volume for that number of calories. Vegetables being the top. Yes? Nope? Okay, gotcha. Fiber, if you like volume as well. I mean, the salad greens, steamed vegetable, leafy greens, those are gonna be your obvious choices. Okay, and that is that on restaurants. Eating healthy while on vacation. 2 slides here. My first tip is to plan ahead. We've talked about researching restaurants. And planning ahead is going to be the key. So if you're going to a specific town, I don't know, Kevin doesn't know I do this, but when we go to a specific town, I will look up the restaurants and see, is there something that's kind of unique and something that we might want to try, and something where I feel like we're both going to be able to have some choices. Food is expensive. You might as well make it worth your time. I'm sure there's some healthy apps out there too that would help you research, but even just going to the zip code and typing in healthy restaurants will yield so much for you. Now, healthy snacks in your bag too, big time. How many of us fly? All right, have you too noticed the evolution at the airports like I have? So we've migrated, and now when I go into Hudson News, there are walls of healthy snacks. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, walls of healthy snacks. But here is the challenge. The number of servings in a lot of those bags, it's tricky. It's 3.5. Nobody is counting out 1 serving out of those bags of multigrain crackers or nuts or whatever. So do the math, 3.5 times whatever calories. Like it's just a lot, unless you're sharing. But most of us aren't. It looks like the right amount of food, but it is for 3.5 servings. So that's where you can get caught, and that's where, I mean, I'll go over TSA regulations at the end if you want me to. What can I pack? What can't I? Long story short, it is solid food, not including peanut butter, yogurt. They'll get you for those things. But I would much rather have some snacks packed, some non-perishables, some lower sodium turkey sticks like Chomps, Triscuits, multigrain crackers if you can do those, whole fruit, you'd want to eat that, but some things that travel well and they're essentially non-perishables, so you don't get sucked into protein bars, so you don't get sucked into some of those choices at the airport, because that can be really tempting. And then the other sad reality is if your flights are delayed and you're racing and you don't have time to get food between your connections, that's just misery. I don't know about you, I don't like going without food for 8 hours. Yeah, so packing your snacks ahead of time, absolutely advise. So you'll be saved from the clutches of airport food. Second tip, stay active, incorporate activities. It's vacation, it's not hibernation. So move a little. You don't need to end up with 25,000 steps at the end of the day, but walking tours, hiking, even just walking on the beach, you're out, you're moving, you're active. Fun ways to stay active and see the sights. Balanced meals, what I mentioned with restaurants, absolutely applies on vacation as well. Protein, carb, fat, vegetable, you're not gonna go wrong there. Who uses their hand to estimate portion sizes? You do? Oh my gosh, very good. I know you do, Greg. Yeah. Yeah, this is, I mean, I think a great tip too. So about the size and thickness of your palm for your protein. So that's my burger, right? Fish, I know, well, if you carry more muscle, you might be more than that, but as a rule, fish, usually it's said about a checkbook, but about like your whole hand, fish. Your thumb is your tablespoon. So you want to go two tablespoons of dressing, it's 2 thumbfuls. Pinky's going to be about your teaspoon if you're looking for some all fruit jam on your English muffin in the morning. And then your whole fist is going to be about a cup. So for starch, I mean, if you're trying to pare down 2/3 of the fist, but I think you're pretty safe with rice about your fist size. Vegetables, hey, steamed vegetables, a few handfuls of salad greens, 2 or 3 of those, you're in business. So that's an easy way to do it without hauling the measuring cups with you. All right, and I mean, explore the local culture too. Kind of fun to have what the locals have as well. All right, and we are getting to about the end. Eating healthy while on vacation, buffer beverage, stay hydrated. We maybe, we'll see what the interest is, maybe in December or holiday time, we are thinking about doing a whole segment on alcohol. Anybody and just holidays. So if you're in for that, do let us know. We could do I could do a week on that. But I think, you know, a bottle of water or a non-caloric beverage in between your alcoholic drinks, that will help you slow your roll. You see my monstrous 40-ounce reduce, right? This is my Costco philosophy. So you know when you buy the big bags of potato chips at Costco, they disappear as fast as the little bags? It's just what we do. It's called human nature. So then we flip that trick around. This is actually what I take to airports. I'll put my protein bars in there and anything that's going to be crushed. And once I get through security, then I get to fill this up and I have water for as long as I need. So when you just flip the philosophy on Costco's head and say, okay, if I have more, I'm going to drink more. So you cannot go wrong with hydration if you have a bigger container. And then one of the biggest challenges, and again, I think we could do a whole segment on this too, is just social pressure. Sometimes people think you're not having a good time unless you're having the drink or you know have a glass of alcohol in your hand. There's, you know, think about your best way to handle that. I always feel like if I don't make it a big deal, it's not a big deal to anybody else around me. If they're used to seeing you with a drink in your hand, might require a little retraining and asking for what you need, re-educating those around you, and that's okay. That's okay. They just want to see you have fun. It's not malicious, it's just their goal. You want to handle it with humor, you want to deflect. Oh, we're talking about this again, you know, like, I'm good, yeah. There's just different ways to handle that. So again, if you have specific questions on that topic, that's a pretty big topic. So that's my overall response. Okay, and then eating healthy while on the go. We talked about drinking water in terms of the alcohol. The other thing you can do is delay. If you're gonna have the treat food or the treat drink, usually our inhibitions go down a bit after we start drinking alcohol. So if I delay that, I'm sharper to make those healthier choices. Encourage you while you're on the go, treat your water bottle just like your cell phone. Goes with me everywhere, all right? It'll become habit. Sit between meals rather than drinking most with your meals. You don't want to dilute too much of your hydrochloric acid. And then limit your sugary drinks. Packing in advance. My key terms, these are my red flag terms. Anytime you think about swinging by, driving through, stopping in, those are the convenience choices, right? It is always going to be worth it for you to, one of the examples I give is I can easily make 5 Greek yogurt parfaits in 10 minutes, and that is less than 1 trip into a convenience store. It's going to be less money, it's going to be less time, it's going to be less effort. So putting that effort in at the forefront, you'll save all of those things. Time, money, effort. I know I love those savings. And then pack it. Bonus points for non-perishables that pack easily and stay fresh. Chomps or ostrom sticks, protein bars, single servings of protein powder, chicken or tuna packets, fresh fruit, nuts, seeds, others. What did I miss? Anyone? Yep. So those are your grab and goes. And if you really think about this, I've done multiple Facebook and social media videos on this. The one that comes to mind is I went to Chick-fil-A, which at the time was 3.4 miles from my house. I timed the drive, I timed the mileage. If you think about the time that you spend going out for one meal or one snack, driving to get to the food, ordering the food, waiting for the food, having the food, coming home, you're at such a savings if you can sidestep all of that. I can meal prep 4 meals for the cost of all of that. Okay, smart choices at convenience stores. Those are easy to find via GPS. If you think about it, you could build an entire day of meals or food at a convenience store. Greg, would you agree or disagree with that?
Oh yeah, the convenience store you can find like tuna packs,
Yep.
chips, protein bars. If you're drinking the water correctly throughout the day, you'll be able to monitor your hunger so you won't be so ravenous and make poor choices. So.
Very true. And you know, the one thing I do say watch, because I have been out and about, and there was one time where I bought the hard-boiled eggs at a store, and I'd just be so careful about that. That's the one food, be so careful about those. Now, mind you, I'll encourage you to think about the new fast food option, the grocery store. Grocery stores are as prevalent as your fast food, and you just treat those just like you would doing your grocery shopping. Shop the perimeter. I can run that store and I can get some low sodium deli turkey, and I can get Greek yogurt, and I can do a little healthy wrap. And if you have family or others with you, everybody literally gets what they want. It's not hard. So grocery store, treat that as your new fast food option. If you're getting deli items, watch the dressings, watch the nutrition labels there. And then quick meal prep. Kevin Wright, what are the 6 P's that you educated me on and I've incorporated into my health coaching?
Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Prior proper planning prevents poor performance, yes. So, think it's a hassle. It's a hassle on the way out the door. Think about it the night before. But once you get into a groove with that sort of thing, you really are. You're steps and steps ahead. So, wrapping up, you all have been so patient with me. So, there you have it. Ultimate guide to eating healthy, restaurants on the go while you're traveling and about town. making smart choices really is about planning ahead. And I'll close with this thought. If you can think about each decision, what do I want on the other side of this decision? You know, because that food really is, it's only gonna last a few minutes. How do I wanna feel? What's the ultimate goal? What do I want on the other side of this decision? All right, thank you all so much. I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you.